Assalamu Alikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the second session of two, which makes it the last one for today, on questions and answers. I know we have been off air for a couple of weeks because of the Dhul Hijjah effort, in which the focus has been predominantly on Qurbani for obvious reasons, and we've been speaking on behalf of Al Khair Foundation in terms of the services it provides. Also, obviously, we've been speaking about the Afghanistan earthquake appeal and the Bangladesh flood appeal. And as a result, we've not had our question and answers regular slot on 7 till 8 p.m. or just after the news, I think it is, at 7 p.m. Till 8 p.m. Monday to Friday. But we're back, as you can see. So things are as they were. And so please do call in 01274 214299. That's 01274 214299. In the meantime, I'm going to take advantage of this lull. I'm going to take advantage of this little bit of quiet and get some questions that have been piling up in my inbox, which will be of benefit to the viewers at home as well. Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you are well, Mufsab. Is it permissible to sell crypto which was gifted to you? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Irrespective of the position that is adopted with regards to cryptocurrency being a currency, it is still considered by most, if not all, fuqaha as an asset, like NFTs and things of that nature. So it is an asset, it is something of value. And therefore, like it could be, for example, a piece of art, a painting, things of that nature. And this is also held in such a understanding as well. Therefore, if a person has been gifted this and it has a value, and therefore this person is looking to sell it, it's not something which is an investment, long-term investment for him, but rather a short-term investment, then yes, A, he will give zakat on it, but B, it will be permissible to sell it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mufsab, are we allowed to name pets with Muslim names, like naming a fish or a cat? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There is no harm in giving animals Arabic names, maybe not human names, especially if those people are around. I think that would be something, but something like, say, mandub or something, say, like, sari, if it's a fast horse or something like that. So we can take adjectives and use them to give names to creatures. But obviously we should avoid naming names that are quite popular without knowing we may be naming an animal after a companion or a name rather that the animal will share with a companion or things of that nature, or a pious predecessor. So we should avoid those kind of names. But anything which is an adjective, like if, say, a fish is orange or something, and you decide to call it orange, then there's no harm in things of that nature. Assalamu alaikum. In a worst case scenario, if a person misses Eid al-Adhasala, will it have any impact on the validity of Qurbani? Or can you pray Eid al-Adhasala on 2nd or 3rd? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As long as where the animal is being slaughtered, as long as wherever the animal is being slaughtered, Eid Salah has been done, and obviously the 10th of Dhul Hijjah Subha Sadiq has occurred for the person, then the Qurbani is valid. Yes, a person, if they miss Eid Salah for whatever reason, can pray on day 2 or day 3 if there are venues which are offering it. Assalamu, is there anything wrong with watering a grave? I've seen this quite a lot, this practice of watering graves. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have observed this practice of watering graves quite a lot when you go visit the graves. In fact, you start to see watering cans now piling up in graveyards, which, maybe even 5, 6, 7 years ago never existed. So there is no reason to do so, and now it gives the impression to people that this is a religious act, or it's a rewarding act, or it's a ritual act, there is no real reason to. Sometimes people may put water on the grave because they've not, because it's soil, they've not hardened it, or they've not put something on it which is making the soil dry and breaking. So they might put water on it to just keep the soil moist. Fair enough. I can't really see any practice of predecessors doing something of this nature. Assalamu Alikum. If a male has one size haircut all around, but around the edges of the hairline, around the head, he has the hair trimmed shorter where hair sticks out to make it look neat, is this permissible, especially near the ear and the back of the head? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There are two things to consider here. One is the gradation difference between the hair and then the bit near his ears and the back of his head. Sometimes people will get a grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, whatever it is, and then go to a grade 0 or a grade 1. And obviously, rather than jump from a grade 8 to a grade 0, they will grade it in, if you know what I mean. They will try to blend it in, or whatever the phrase is that's used for this. So these are things which should be avoided. If, however, a person has a grade 1 or a grade 2, and then near his ears and the back of his head, he does a grade 0, then I guess they won't be that easy to see. But this will depend, obviously, person to person, because each person's hair type is very different. And for some, people can have very thick hair. And even when you change by a grade, you can clearly see that the hair is not all one length. So it's very difficult to answer these questions with a general answer. But I hope what I've shared with you gives you some understanding. Assalamu Alaikum. Is it permissible when reciting the Quran to say any sajda tilawat ayat silently in the head when you come across one, to avoid making sajda wajib on yourself or others? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. No, it is not permissible to do such a thing, because when you recite something in your head, you are not reciting. You are just looking at it and thinking of the ayat, and that is not recitation. And to intentionally exclude an ayat is sinful, especially when it is an ayat which is going to make necessary upon you a compulsory act of worship, which is a good thing. So if you are reciting, then yes, you should recite it and make sajda. However, if you know that there are people around you, then what you should do is 3, 4, 5 ayats before the ayat sajda, you should lower your voice that only it reaches your ears. And then 3 or 4 or 5 ayats after, you should then, go back higher. So it's not that you just lower your voice for the ayat of sajda and then back up again, because that again is not appropriate. But leading up to it, you can recite in a low voice, and going away, you recite in a low voice as well. But obviously, you should say to people around you, you shouldn't recite when there's people around you, unless you're in a masjid. And then you should be reciting audibly anyway. Because if people are in the same room as you, it depends what they're doing. They might start talking, they might start, saying something, their phone might ring, they might start watching something on the phone. Really, ibadah is something where you want to just focus on your recitation. Is it permissible to recite the Quran out loud in a mosque after Salah or 5-10 minutes before Salah? On a number of occasions, I see many elders having loud conversations, but for some odd reason get disturbed if someone recites audibly. What is the appropriate Islamic ruling on this? I connect more when I recite audibly. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, Brother Muhammad, you need to just listen to the answer I just gave now, because this is very similar. Yes, the masjid is a place of reciting the Quran, absolutely. But it depends on how audible we recite the Quran. Remember, by us reciting too loud, we could be potentially put other people off. I know, for example, certain family members of mine, they don't prefer when another person is reciting too loud because it disturbs their train of thought. Similarly, there could be other people praying nawafil, and they're concentrating on their own recitation, and then they're hearing your recitation, and obviously they are not too loud, but you are loud, so it could put them off. So we have to be considerate when we are in a masjid that there are other users in the masjid. Now, obviously, it's obvious that I'm going to say that the elders should be talking. That's an obvious thing. So there's no point in me even saying that. And this is just you expressing some frustration that these people don't have an issue when people are talking, but they have an issue when you're reciting audibly. Obviously, that's something for you to deal with through the masjid committee. There's no point in me making any comments on how the masjid is catered for, but your masjid is not the only one. I'm sure this is a practice which occurs in others, but it's really down to the committees and those people who are responsible for the masjid to make sure that the masjid is a place of worship and not a place of chit-chat. Maybe they can have a separate allocated side room or something for chit-chat, and the masjid is dedicated for worship. But again, even in those circumstances, even if everybody's worshipping, some people might be doing muraqabah, where they are silently sat, focusing on their nafs, doing muhasabah, yani just reflecting over their sins, and then you're reciting audibly. Do you understand? So yes, it should be audible to reach to your ears, but it shouldn't be any louder than that. Assalamu Alikum. A woman has died. She has a husband alive, no children or sisters or brothers alive. She has only a nephew from her sister's side. Does he get anything? Oh, I'll answer that separately because it's a miras question. Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Musab, hope all is well. This may be a bit of an odd question, so forgive me in advance. So basically, I live in Pakistan, and there is this one type of cockroach called Lal Beg, a very notorious cockroach with big antennas and thorny looking legs. Anyway, from time to time I see one lurking in my bathroom, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling. It's the most uncomfortable feeling ever, because they are able to fly also. Haven't seen one try to fly yet, alhamdulillah. Last time I saw one, and he was just hanging on my lota, and this made me furious because they are filthy. I tried to shoo it away, but it went inside the lota and hid in like the top of the circular part of the lota, and the next moment he was all over the place. Anyway, long story short, I don't like killing any type of insects, but this guy is just something else. Instead of crushing it, I take loads of water and drown him into the toilet. And after doing that a few times, I don't know if his bad dua hit me, even my toilet stopped flushing. Keep in mind, these are Pakistani style toilets. Islamically, what is the best way to get rid of such an insect? Because they are really yucky and make me feel uncomfortable every time I spot one in the bathroom. Is it okay for me to keep drowning it, or is it better to crush it? Because if I crush it, it will get messy, because these are pretty big in size. Jazakallah. What an interesting question. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm glad you apologized in advance, because that's a wacky question. I'll answer it in short, is that if ever we have to kill an insect which is annoying us, frustrating us, causing us harm, and not allowing us to relieve ourselves in peace, then it should be done as quickly as possible, however that might be. Now, I don't know how quick the animal, it will, an insect won't drown immediately, so that's going to be quite a painful way to go. So it might be better for you to somehow capture it in something and then take it out and chuck it outside. As I said, I've not come across these creatures, so it's easy for me to say, and I really, get really freaky around anything that's furry or flies or moves around. I just don't like little creepy crawlies. It's not my thing. In fact, I don't like animals generally, so I don't know why I was being specific to insects. So, it would just be to end this thing's life as soon as possible. If not, have something around in the house which you can just put over the top of it. And once you place it over the top of it, you can either then shove a shovel underneath and get shut of it outside, or if you have to kill it, then you can kill it outside. That would be better. Didn't think we'd be talking about lal begs, whatever they are. Okay, so we're near the end. So, Assalamu Alaikum. If the musallis can hear what the Imam is reciting word for word in Sirri Salah, does the Imam having a mic then, will this be classed as the Imam doing Jahr in Sirri Salah? If so, will this affect the state of the Salah? Will the Salah have to be repeated, or to such level if the karahiyat is such a Salah? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The best thing again is this should be raised with the Imam himself, that look, your voice is too audible. We can hear every ayat being recited. Maybe he needs to stand a little bit away from the mic. Maybe the mic needs to be removed away from his mouth. No, it doesn't really affect the Salah, but it's not a practice that should be repeated or continued. The steps can be taken, but again, this is a masjid, so it needs to go through the proper channels. We are not sort of, mavericks that we just sort of challenge imams and masjid committees. It should be raised, flagged up, and through the proper channels. Last question before we disappear. Assalamu Alikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mufti Sahib, is it permissible to wear a Manchester United shirt? Ooh. Furthermore, would it be permissible to perform salah whilst wearing this shirt, since it has a red devil logo on the chest with eyes on it? If not, would the salah become valid if one wore some sort of jacket over the shirt to cover the logo, but he's still wearing the Manchester United shirt? Jazakallah. Well, I guess that is somewhere to take pause, as we are now running out of time, and therefore we will stop there, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan for not calling in. What happened? We're back. We're live. Questions and answers. We're going to be back tomorrow as well. Same time, same place. The routine is here and it's ready, inshallah. So don't forget, put it in your calendar. Write it on a post-it note. Put it on your phone. Have a little alarm set. 7, just after 7. Well, if you put it at 7, then it gives you enough time to grab a coffee, sit down. So just after 7 till 8 p.m, questions and answers are back. Please don't call now, but make a note of the number so you can call tomorrow, or 1274 214299. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.